Hey everyone, welcome to the Fargo 3D printing podcast today. Jake Clark and John Schneider. We're going to talk about a couple different things. We're going to talk about a new boxing video that we're going to be coming out with. Thanks, Muhammad Ali. Simplify3D. John's going to cover that today and talk about some of the new updates. I know you're really excited about that.
Yeah.
I mean, he was bouncing off the walls the day that it launched. So, and then we're going to talk about a new segment, and then that's pretty much it. So, boxing video. All I can picture now is somebody in a ring. So, it's the ring, but yet it's square.
Just keep going.
Anyway, so the boxing video. So this is where like your Rep 2 or your Rep 2X, if something goes wrong with it, you have to send it back or send it in. This is the proper way to get it ready for shipping, because we've actually had a couple cases where we've done some repair jobs. We get the printer in and they forgot to zip tie some things, or they forgot to put packaging in the right spot, and then the gantry falls apart, and it's a couple extra hours to get that all realigned and ready to go. So we want to make sure that people know how to package it correctly, even if you're going to a trade show or going to an event. Yeah. You're going to Christmas and you want to bring it with. You can do it the proper way so it doesn't get damaged, because there's the head's kind of expensive in that. So if something does go wrong, but we'll come out with that. There's a couple things with that will have some shipping blocks that'll be available for download on Thingiverse. But you're probably wondering, okay, well, we can download it, but I might not be able to print it because I don't have a working printer.
Right.
Well, what you can do is we'll actually have the print for free on our website, and then you just have to pay for shipping. So that'll be a nice and easy way for you guys to get those parts that you can ship it to us and get it repaired, or if you're going somewhere, whatever the case is, you can get those parts. So that's kind of the boxing video. So
yeah. So like Jake mentioned yesterday, actually. So we're shooting this on Wednesday. Simplify3D came out with a new version yesterday, Tuesday. So this is Simplify3D version 3.0. If you aren't familiar with what Simplify3D is, it is one of the best slicers out there for 3D printing, period. It's an exceptionally fast slicer, has a lot of customization that you can change in it.
Advanced. Yeah,
and it's very good at generating support structures. That's one of the main reasons we like using it. It generates really nice support structures. We've talked about Simplify3D in the past. We've used it with the MakerBot Replicator 5th Gen, the Z18, and it's taken the prints from almost unpresentable in the Z18 to some of the best prints we've ever produced. So very useful tool, but we did have some pretty big complaints about Simplify3D. One of the biggest complaints that everyone across the board has had with Simplify3D is its infill generation. So in the past, Simplify3D has only had rectilinear infill, which means it'll do infill on one layer in one direction, and then on the next layer, it'll do infill rotated 90 degrees going in the other direction. So the problem with that is that the infill was only contacting itself in between layers at the point of intersection. So it isn't like a regular grid infill that you'd see on other prints where you'd have a full grid on each layer, so you have all those points of contacts. This would lead to a 3D print that looked really good, but structurally didn't have the amount of strength that it needed. People have been clamoring for Simplify3D to add honeycomb style infill. Not just honeycomb, but even just a standard grid infill would be a huge improvement over the rectilinear that was already available. So that is one of the great new things that Simplify3D had in yesterday's release. It has, I think, 5 or 6 new infill types.
Better have cat fill.
It does not have cat fill.
Oh, dang it.
So the things that I believe the infill patterns that it now has is you have rectilinear, then you have your full grid, then you have something, it's called wiggle, which is basically, it's rectilinear, but it only goes in one direction and it just makes continuous 90-degree angles. There's a triangular infill, there's a quick honeycomb infill, and there's a full honeycomb infill. So full honeycomb infill is going to take a lot more time to print, but it's going to lead to a very strong part. Some of the other issues that we've had with Simplify3D is that the interface wasn't as intuitive as something like a MakerBot desktop was. For example, if you wanted to just reposition your model on the build plate, you wanted to move it somewhere else, okay, well, you had to open up a dialog window, and when the dialog window would pop up, it'd pop up right in front of your model, so you'd have to click and drag and move it out of the way, and then you could only position it using absolute positioning. And if you did want to click and drag, you'd have to hold down I think you had to hold down either shift or control and then drag, and the positioning wasn't great. Now, if you want to be doing modifications, you click on a move button. So similar how you do it in MakerBot Desktop, you click on that button, and then you're able to click and drag and position your model wherever you want on the build plate. Not only are you able to do that with moving it, you can also do that for scaling your model, rotating your model. You can also have your print having one face touching the ground, so you can have it automatically aligned to the base of the build plate.
Snap to the
Snap
to the plate.
Or you can select which face of your model you want to have on the bottom contacting the build plate. So that's a good way to get it precisely rotated, so you have just one face of the model touching the build plate.
Well, and that's one thing too with some of the weird angles. We get some parts where it comes in, and then we have to try and angle it a certain way, and then angle it, and then all of a sudden you'd have to say, okay, snap to build plate or move to platform, and then it'll finally snap down. But then you might be off still a couple degrees or half a degree. So that's actually a really nice thing, because now you can just select on that face and it goes there.
Right. And there are a ton of other great things that they've changed. They've changed the way that print profiles work. I think they're now having it so your print profiles will sync to the cloud, because now when you install Simplify3D, instead of having to enter your software key, you use your software key to generate a user account, but then you use that user account to log into Simplify3D, so it pulls your information down. It makes installing, it just makes managing your software installations a lot easier. A couple other things, they've increased the slicing speed. They say anywhere from 2 to 3 times faster, so their slicing engine is improved. They've improved a couple other things. On the base and the top layers of the print, they have better connection between the interior, or between the infill of your bottom layers and the perimeters, which is a big deal, because before it just wasn't quite connected as strongly as it could be. They've also had your bridging connecting a little bit better. So before, if you were doing bridging, it might not completely connect between the two the two sides, but now it's added more overlap. It's also added better overlap for infill, and it's added a bunch of features for using dual extruders. Now, we haven't really done too much with dual extrusion with Simplify3D. The gist is, this was a massive update for Simplify3D. If you go to the changelog, you look at their previous update, which was 2.2.2, they had maybe, I think, 9 or 10 different things in the changelog. In this one, I think they have upward of 50 or 60 different things in the changelog, and some of those line items actually encompass a few updates. So this was huge update. Simplify3D is a paid slicer, but it's been well worth $150 for us. It's made a huge difference.
Yeah, and if you guys don't have Simplify3D, come to our website. It's one of the only softwares we really stand behind and sell. Like John said, it's a great software. It's just we use it on most all of our machines, and it's awesome. So, is there anything else you want to add to the Simplify3D?
No, I think if people have comments or new things that they found in Simplify3D, things you really like, throw them in the comments below. If you have questions, we'll do our best to answer them. Simplify3D does not offer a trial version, which is unfortunate. So if you're wondering about a specific feature, we can look into it and see if it'll do what you need it to do.
Yeah, so contact us page. We'll answer that question, or John will answer that question, and get that over to you. Yeah. So a new segment that we're gonna be coming out with in the next couple weeks, and this is kind of going off the Simplify3D side as well, is we're gonna have one of our employees actually go through and do a break test of some different parts. So and then he'll actually break down why the print broke the way it did. We're actually going to dive into some of those Simplify3D settings. He can explain, okay, this is, it broke this way with this percentage infill because of this, and this. So we can actually, you'll be able to see this. It'll either be in the podcast, or it'll be a little mini segment that we'll do separate of this, that he'll just kind of break down why the print failed. So if you guys have some Thingiverse files that you want us to break, send those over, put them in the comments. We'll definitely do that. So it's a little bit of a fun, educated way to approach the how strong parts are, because sometimes people add shells to make a part stronger. Some people add bigger infill, different types of infill. So it's going to be really cool to see some data back from that, and just kind of have some fun with it. So we'll be on the lookout for that. Like I said, I think it'll be a sub segment of this, and then it'll be in the next couple weeks. So
yeah, so keep an eye out for that. Kind of a shorter podcast today. So we covered the boxing and like how to package up your MakerBot printers, and the new things that came out with Simplify3D. Of course, the new segment. But that takes care of it for this week. So on behalf of Jay Clark, myself, John Schneider, we want to thank you for watching or listening. If you haven't already, please subscribe to us on YouTube or on iTunes, and check us out on social media. We're on most platforms, so definitely.
We'll have some more product announcements shortly, so keep an eye out for that as well.
Yeah, that's it.
I got nothing else on that.
All right. Again, on behalf of Jake and I, thanks for watching.
Have a good one. Oh, it wasn't me. Wasn't me. Do. Wasn't me. Do.
It's terrible.
What, the sound? Or the song?
Yeah, the sound
Coming from your mouth.
Coming from your mouth.
Yeah.